Hello, everybody. My name is Esteban, your host with Inspiration and Results. And today I have with me Dr. Ken Barrett. And our topic today is about the spiritual loss of success. Hey, Dr. Ken, how's it going?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So what is all this spiritual loss of success about? Let's dive into it.
Well, and that's how they're termed commonly, spiritual laws of success. But frankly, it's really just universal law. Like there's laws of gravity. And the law of gravity, if you violate it, you will have an effect. So if somebody were to say, well, I don't believe in the law of gravity, and they were to step off of a building, they would experience gravity firsthand.
Hmm.
The thing that I think most people don't get is that these laws are not a punishment for not doing the right thing. Gravity is not a punishment for not doing the right thing. It just simply is. Now, I'm going to say something that might piss off your listeners or our listeners, and that is the universe doesn't care about you. The universe is completely ambivalent about you. Everything in the universe really is perfect. How things go is just how things go. It's kind of like the example of stepping off the building. If you step off the building, gravity doesn't care that you hurt yourself. Gravity is not trying to hurt you, but you're violating laws, so there is an effect. Does that make sense?
It does. Makes perfect sense. So it seems like that kind of get rid of the whole victim mentality. If you operate from another mentality, think saying, well, there's laws in the universe and I just have to abide by these laws, or I have to at least be aware of them and operate and respect certain laws. Because like you said, if you gravity doesn't care, whoever jumps off a building is going to go down. That's it. So
Yeah. And you said something, you really keyed into something great, which is ignorance of the laws
mm,
doesn't protect you. Like if you never heard of gravity and you stepped off a building, the result would be the same.
wow, that's powerful. That's my
Yeah, and it's just what?
That's mind blowing. Yeah.
Yeah. So and so this gets rid of, I've heard people say a lot, especially in the spiritual communities, well, the universe just doesn't want me to have this.
Hmm.
No, the universe doesn't care. Really, the universe doesn't care if you get rich. The universe doesn't care if you're poor. The universe doesn't care. But because that's not what the universe's role is. We talked about yesterday uh, that it's not in the nature of God to be self-destructive. It's not in the nature of man either. What we discovered yesterday, and but it's also not in the nature of of God to take away our free will. We can do whatever we want. The key here for most people, I would say, if you do want to really be successful, then the key is to learn what the laws are, learn what the laws of prosperity are, learn what the spiritual laws are regards to creating wealth, and then don't violate them.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's really that simple. And many people want to turn it into something it's not. Like they want to turn it into this touchy feely, warm, sensitive kind of thing. And you can have those emotions and all that stuff, but this is not the place for it. Um, Businesses, I used to watch Shark Tank. I haven't seen it in a long time, but Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank, he says, don't cry for money. Money won't cry for you. And and it's true. You could, have a devastating day and lose a bunch of money. And but the fact is that uh, it's neutral for the universe. It's if you make money, if you lose money, it doesn't really matter to the universe. The fun thing that I like doing with clients is implementing these laws, watching their wealth grow, and then they can really have a lot of fun. I'm going to say something. One of my clients says this. I'll just quote one of my clients. He says, you know, money won't buy you happiness, but I'd rather cry in a Mercedes than a Hyundai.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. So, um, so the law, there's a bunch of these laws, and you know, there's been a bunch of books on these, and this is, but uh, the one law that I'd really like to start with is the law of cause and effect. Now, what does that mean? And it's what we're alluding to right now. It's every cause has an effect, and every effect had a cause that caused it. Um, when I hear business owners say, "Well, I don't know what happened," okay, that's because you're driving your car blindfolded. Well, I ran into a tree, don't know what happened. Well, you've got to take off the blinders and look where you're going, because everything has an effect. Now, with my clients, it's a very rigorous conversation sometimes, because it's much easier to tell somebody,
It's not my fault.
"Oh, it's not my fault.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, just nothing you could do."
it wasn't
And
me.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And for as a coach, I'm taking a very radically different uh, thing. Now, it's interesting. It is easy to do these laws. You follow these laws, you just get on board, and it is easy to do. But the first step is really just taking responsibility for everything that happens. It doesn't mean that you're at fault. So I just want to be really clear. Responsibility doesn't mean blame. And many people go there, and many people struggle with this. They think, oh, you know, they don't want to take responsibility because they think they're to blame. And those are two different things. Responsibility is actually, this is from Werner Erhard, and I'm going to paraphrase, but he talks about how responsibility is a grace that you give yourself. Responsibility is a gift, because once you are responsible for everything in your life, then you have power over everything in your life.
Right.
Now, you may say, well, you know, this horrible thing happened to me, and you know, I was a victim. And some people genuinely are victims, but it doesn't give you power over the experience if you are a victim.
Right. Right.
Uh,
I used to
yeah.
I used to have a problem with that because I remember when I first came into the awareness of this concept, right? This mindset of take full responsibility over everything that happens. Because if you do take responsibility, you can do something about it. But I'm like, well, how am I going to take responsibility over something that I know I did not do, right? But it affected someone, and I was involved in some way, shape, or form. And I always used to struggle with that, but I remember having that light bulb that said, just take responsibility and then do what's in your power to remedy the situation to to win-win so that you can win as well, right? And yes, but if I stayed in the, well, it's not my fault, that person did that and that person did this and that person, then I have no power, and then I would, you just get into this loop of victimhood, and then you can't do anything about anything, and you just, all you do is blame, you know.
Yeah.
So if you blame
And
the law and you say, well, it's, you know, you're like, well, it was gravity's fault that I fell down. I mean, imagine if we lived like that and we tripped over something, it was gravity's fault. I mean, who would
yeah.
really say that, you know? But in reality, you realize, well, I tripped, it was me, and I violated the law of gravity.
Yeah. And it's that simple. You can, you know, it is the listen, you don't have to, you know, you can actually say, I heard, I actually spoke to somebody who had an abusive parent,
Mhm.
and she said, um, she said, why, yeah, I got to stop my mother from abusing me.
Wow.
And I said, don't see her.
Right.
You're an adult.
Right.
Don't see her. And I hear people, well, I'm this way because of my parents and my child. I was once in a course, and this is great. I'm this way because of my parents, And the person who was leading the course said, okay, everybody who between the ages of 18 and 22 stand up. And all these kids stood up. And this person said, look around, these are your parents,
Mm,
right? When they had you.
mm,
Yeah, you can't, you can't, it's all based in a context. You know, there have been cases where twins had a horrible abuse. And the one kid ended up, you know, early pregnancy and, you know, drugs and all these horrible things. And the other kid, honor roll, popular, went to an Ivy League school. You know, you can't, it isn't, and I love this expression. I think I might have said this on the show before, that it's from Steve Covey. He says it's not the snake that bites you, it's chasing it that forces the venom to your heart.
mm.
And that is something, that is a takeaway that everybody on the call could get value from immediately, even in your personal lives and everything else. Using these techniques, I have a client who we work together who's very happy with the results, ecstatic with the results.
Nice.
And I happened to run into his wife just randomly, and his wife said, "Oh, it's great to meet you finally, and thank you." And of course, you know, I like to get acknowledged. And then she said, "No, you don't understand. Our relationship is so much better since you've been working together." And by the way, that was not my intention. I didn't know that. But as you implement these laws, you will find everything gets better, right? Because you think about it, we're talking about money right now, and being responsible for your results in money. But this also, you know, involves not blaming your spouse. This
Right.
also, you know, being responsible for everything in your life.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
it
Yeah.
does. And I mean, accepting responsibility is a huge mindset shifting. When you shift that mindset and you live by that. And like you said, it's not about accepting blame. It's not saying it's your fault. It's saying I can do something about this. You know, it's saying I can actually influence this and even turn it around, you know, because you are accepting responsibility, you know. So I think that's where the power comes in. And I think that's a very powerful takeaway from today's podcast is start exploring taking responsibility for everything that happens in your world, in your life, and see what happens, right? See what
And
happens.
I want the listener really to make sure that you uncollapse or separate blame and responsibility. One of the things I do want to cover just very quickly is your business. Part of being responsible is knowing your data,
Mm,
being having a profound relationship with your business data. I want you, by the way, the listeners, to start turning this into prosperity. So if you listen, have, you know, how much money is in your wallet, how much cash is in your wallet right now. You should know that. You should know how much money is in the bank. You should know what the data and all the statistics for your specific business are. And then just by seeing it, you will have more power over it. And then you can make decisions. And if you feel like, well, I just had bad luck or something just went wrong, then you're missing something. Then the context you can create is, I'm just not seeing something. And then you can look for and find it.
I love that. That's powerful. That is very powerful. Awareness is key. And sometimes just by being able to name something the right way, right? Saying, okay, well, this is how much I have. Just that awareness changes everything. Um, that's powerful, Dr. Ken.
Yeah.
Powerful. So, Dr. Ken, we got about another 5 minutes on this episode. Anything else that we should cover in regards to the laws of the universe and prosperity?
Well, let me ask you a question, Esteban. What questions do you have?
So there's my alarm. So I apologize for that. For those of you listening. Um, Questions about prosperity. Let's see. Laws of the universe. So I hear a lot about the law of attraction, right? And the law of vibration. So maybe that could be for another episode.
Yeah.
But
The,
but
by the way, so the law of attraction is, and I do want to say this, a lot of people, it's funny, I spoke to a client about that just recently. The law of attraction is obviously everybody's read The Secret, or watched the movie.
Right.
Yeah, great movie, very well done. From what I understand, the woman who wrote it, Rhonda Byrne, I believe her name was,
Yeah.
yeah, she ended up on antidepressants after that whole
Oh,
thing.
wow.
Yeah, because the law of attraction alone is not, it's like using, well, I'm going to use the law of thermodynamics, but not the law of gravity. They're not mutually exclusive.
Right.
The law of attraction is sexy because, yeah, if I just visualize what I want, then it'll come to pass. I think the law of attraction is the most misused of the spiritual laws. It's what most people know about, and it's extremely misused.
I think
Um,
I think we should do an entire episode just focus on that.
oh yeah, we can. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be fun. Um, yeah. So, yeah, I would say, frankly, I think everybody, rather than, see, you know, get profound relationship to your results, I think that's the perfect place to start
Yeah.
when you're going through this process, when you're learning this.
That's awesome. So, Dr. Ken, I know right now you are currently doing discovery calls. These are absolutely free calls. People can have access to you. They can book a meeting with you on your calendar at absolutely no charge, just to have a conversation. Obviously, you're a coach, and you are looking to coach more students, more people that would want to be coached by you. So, if you're listening and you're interested in having a conversation with Dr. Ken, simply visit Dr. Ken Barrett. That's BARRETT.com. And you can simply, there's a little presentation there that you can watch and book also a meeting with Dr. Ken. Dr. Ken, thank you so much for today's episode. This was very, very powerful.
My pleasure.
Awesome. Awesome. And thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you on the next episode.